A family torn apart. The tragic case of Carly Gregg. On the afternoon of March 19, 2024, Heath Smiley arrived home in Brandon, Mississippi, expecting nothing more than a normal day. But within moments, his world was shattered. A loud bang echoed through the house, followed by a flash of light, the kind that only comes from the muzzle of a gun. In that split second, his sense of safety, his family, and his life as he knew it were gone. The shocking part? The person holding the gun wasn't an intruder. It wasn't a masked criminal or a stranger. It was his 14-year-old stepdaughter, Carly Gregg. That horrifying moment set off a tragic chain of events, leaving a family torn apart and the public asking, how did a teenage girl end up committing such an unthinkable act? The 911 call that shook a community. At around 5 p.m., just minutes after the gunfire, a frantic 911 call was made. Heath Smiley, 39 years old, struggled to speak as he told the dispatcher, "My stepdaughter shot me. My wife is dead." His voice was shaky, desperate, and filled with panic. He had been shot in the shoulder, and the person who pulled the trigger had fled the house. Heath revealed that he had managed to wrestle with Carly to prevent her from shooting him in the face, but she still managed to fire at him. With blood soaking his clothes, he had stumbled through the house, trying to make sense of what had just happened. When officers arrived at the scene, they found Ashley Smiley, 40 years old, lying lifeless in one of the bedrooms. She had suffered a gunshot wound to the face. The realization was chilling. Carly had killed her own mother. Meanwhile, Carly was nowhere to be found. Carly Gregg, a troubled teen or a calculated killer. About 30 minutes after police arrived, officers found Carly near the roadside close to her home. The first words out of her mouth were not denials or excuses. She simply asked, "Is Heath okay?" But she never asked about her mother. She didn't have to. She already knew the answer. Investigators wasted no time in uncovering the disturbing truth behind the tragedy. After searching the home, they reviewed security camera footage installed inside the house, footage that would change everything. The security footage that revealed the truth. One of the cameras, positioned in the kitchen and dining area, captured everything leading up to the crime. The footage showed Ashley and Carly arriving home together after school. Ashley, a math teacher at Carly's school, walked in alongside her daughter, unaware that their ordinary day was about to take a deadly turn. As soon as they entered the house, Ashley headed straight to Carly's bedroom, while Carly walked toward her mother's room. But she wasn't just looking around, she had a purpose. She was searching for a gun. Authorities later learned that Ashley had just discovered a troubling secret about her daughter. At only 14 years old, Carly was using marijuana, struggling in school, and engaging in self-harm. Ashley had learned about these issues from one of Carly's friends, and she was preparing to confront her daughter about it. But Carly wasn't ready to face the consequences. Instead of dealing with her mother's disappointment, she went to Ashley's room, retrieved the hidden gun from under the mattress, and walked back to her own bedroom. Moments later, she pulled the trigger. A chilling plan. The text message that lured Heath home. After shooting her mother, Carly did something even more disturbing. She took Ashley's phone, sat calmly on a bar stool in the kitchen, and sent a text message to her stepfather. "Heath, when will you be home, honey?" Authorities later determined that this message wasn't just an act of deception. It was part of Carly's plan to kill him next. But that wasn't all. Carly also reached out to a friend, urging her to come over by claiming there was an emergency. When the friend arrived, Carly led her to her bedroom and, without hesitation, asked a chilling question. "Are you disgusted by the idea of being near a dead body?" Before her friend could respond, Carly revealed her mother's lifeless body sprawled across the floor. With a cold and unsettling calmness, Carly admitted that she had shot her mother 3 times, and that she had 3 more bullets saved for Heath. Her friend was horrified, unable to comprehend what she had just witnessed. But before she could fully process the situation, Carly abruptly told her to leave. Heath had just arrived home. Within minutes, gunfire erupted. A shocking arrest, the start of a high-profile case. After fleeing the scene, Carly didn't stay free for long. Police quickly tracked her down and took her into custody. The charges against her were severe: first-degree murder, attempted murder, and tampering with evidence. Given the brutal nature of the crime, authorities decided to try Carly as an adult despite the fact that she was only 14 years old. During her first court appearance, Carly showed no emotion as she pleaded not guilty. The judge set her bail at $1 million, ensuring she would remain behind bars while awaiting trial. As the case gained media attention, prosecutors presented Carly with a plea deal: 40 years in prison in exchange for avoiding a trial. But Carly refused. She wasn't willing to admit guilt, even with the possibility of a reduced sentence. With no deal in place, there was only one outcome: Carly would stand trial for murder. The trial: evil or mentally ill? In September 2024, Carly's trial began, and from the very first day, the prosecution made their stance clear. Carly Gregg is an evil young girl, and sometimes evil comes in youthful packages. At first, the public had mixed feelings. Some believed Carly might have been struggling with mental health issues, thinking there could be more to the story. But as the security footage played in court, any lingering sympathy quickly disappeared. For 5 days, prosecutors laid out a chilling case, proving just how cold and calculated Carly had been. She hid the gun behind her back to avoid detection on security cameras. She texted her stepfather in an attempt to lure him home. She casually invited a friend over and showed her mother's dead body as if it were nothing. But perhaps the most haunting moment came when the court played the 911 call. As Heath's desperate, pleading voice filled the silent courtroom, Carly, who had shown no emotion until that moment, broke down sobbing. Was it remorse? Or was she simply terrified of what was coming next? Carly's defense: mental illness or manipulation. Carly's attorneys painted a different picture. They argued that she was not a cold-blooded killer, but a deeply troubled 14-year-old girl suffering from severe mental health issues. According to the defense, Carly had been diagnosed with borderline personality disorder, depression, and severe anxiety. To support their claims, they called in a psychiatrist who testified that Carly had experienced dissociative episodes, auditory hallucinations, and an unstable sense of reality. The defense insisted that Carly wasn't fully aware of her actions when she pulled the trigger. They also pointed to her tragic childhood. Carly's father, who had abandoned her as a child, was a violent alcoholic, drug addict, and diagnosed schizophrenic. Her legal team suggested that genetics and trauma played a role in her mental state, making it impossible for her to have planned such a horrific crime with full intent. But the prosecution fought back hard. A state psychiatrist took the stand and shut down the defense's argument, testifying that Carly was fully aware of her actions and had meticulously planned the crime. The prosecution argued that this was not a case of a confused or mentally ill child, but a cold and calculated killer. Then came the moment that changed everything. As the prosecution's psychiatrist described Carly's actions as diabolical, the courtroom watched in disbelief as Carly laughed. She smirked, then quickly tried to cover her giggles, but it was too late. That was the final nail in the coffin. The verdict: what comes next? On September 17, 2024, after weeks of testimony, the jury delivered their verdict. Carly Gregg was found guilty of first-degree murder and attempted murder. She was sentenced to life in prison. Her fate was sealed. But the question remains, was Carly truly evil? Or was she a deeply disturbed child in need of help? Either way, one thing is certain. This case will be remembered as one of the most shocking and tragic crimes committed by a teenager in recent history.